Hello, it's Donna Wetterstrand here of the Emotional Center, and welcome to part 2 of our introductory series on the scale of emotion. There are huge benefits to managing your feelings using the emotional scale, and this is actually what the scale was designed to do. By managing your emotions, you have much more access to inner guidance, inner wisdom, and intuition, and you start to unlock your own potential, your brain's potential. I really believe it's a tool we can use for human evolution. The emotional scale is also an amazing mechanism for manifesting what you want more of and using the law of attraction in the way it was meant to be used. If you're familiar with the Abraham Hicks material, you'll recognize what I'm talking about. So the very first thing that all of this is rooted in is in learning to simply manage your feelings and manage your own vibration. I use that word in a very special way, manage. We're not talking about controlling, we're talking about allowing your energy, your feelings to flow. I highly recommend looking at the emotional scale, actually looking at it while we're talking about it. It engages your brain in a certain way. The science is really clear on this. By looking at the range of emotions and vibrations or frequencies, you're shifting your brain activity in a subtle but profound way from the back of your brain, where you're in the emotion, sort of submerged in the experience of it, to the front of your brain, where you're observing your emotion at the same time you're experiencing it. This is an example of mindfulness. It's my exact personal experience and the experience of everyone I've ever worked with. What I'm giving you is a really simplified explanation, but it is accurate, and it can spell the difference between suffering, where you feel as if you're locked into a feeling, and relief from being locked into that feeling. It's the difference between what you would call mental health and feeling like you're just not functioning as well as you could be, and really thriving in your life. When you're starting this, you might not actually be able to feel the relief in the moment, but the relief will unfold as you develop your skill. Just another way of putting this is your overall mood will just continue to improve. How we do things at the Emotional Center is we use this process to really direct us to what feels better. And it's kind of similar to the focus of positive psychology. So most therapy or counseling or even coaching, sometimes it depends on who's delivering it. Those kind of modalities can spend way too much time focusing on what's wrong in an effort to fix it. What we want to do is focus on and maximize what's working really, really well. So you want to practice using the emotional scale and practice this skill because, believe it or not, feeling your feelings is something that you practice and you can get better at. It may not be something that you naturally know how to do. In many families and cultures, emotions and feelings are limited, if allowed at all. Some feelings you're not allowed to express. So knowing what you feel is something that you can actually practice. And as you get more skilled, you begin to understand the nuances as well. Get used to looking at the range of emotions rather than just imagining it in your mind's eye. Looking at it is the best thing of all. The best of all worlds to print it out and have hard copies that you can hold in your hand. It's an old school way of doing things in this digital age, but in many ways our brains are old school. Parts of our brains still operate in that way. So the link for the PDF download is below in the description, and I really highly recommend that you download a copy for yourself. So on this scale, we have this range of emotions running down the left-hand side. Now, there's a lot of emotions that I've included on this scale. I like to be really specific with what I'm feeling, and I like to have a more nuanced reading of the vibration. So I've represented a lot of emotions down the left-hand side. However, a lot of people come to me, and if they're just starting to feel their feelings, it's sometimes not easy for them to pinpoint exactly what it is they're feeling. So I tell them, look, use this in a very, very general way. You can even be as general as the top half are feelings that feel good, the bottom half are feelings that don't feel good. And you can kind of, you know for sure which one you're in. You can say, I'm in the top half or I'm in the bottom half. So have a look at the scale now, and you can see that the top half of the really feeling good emotions and the bottom half of the negative or lower vibrations, they're split right in the middle. There is what we call allowing and accepting. This is a vibration of transformation. It's where bad feelings have the space to transform into good feelings. It's where the lower vibrations can transform into higher vibrations. But just for now, understand that if you can manage to allow and accept a low vibration, you give it the room and the space it needs to flow and shift. Say, for example, you're feeling hopelessness or despair. If you can manage to allow and accept it in a very deep and peaceful way as part of your very human scale of emotions, sit with it and give it some room and space, it will start to shift and flow up the scale. You will start to feel some relief. Like I say, you may not be able to feel relief in the exact moment that you're doing this, but the relief will unfold without question. If you feel a lot of concern or worry, and you can manage to allow and accept that it is part of who you are, it's a very human experience, without the urgency to fix it or change it, instead you really give it the room to breathe within you, the vibration will begin to shift and flow, and you will begin to feel relief. Even common, very human low vibrations such as anxiety and depression respond really well to this simple practice. Now, as energy flows up the scale, the vibrations get lighter and lighter, and you feel better and better. The tool to keep the energy flowing is this state of allowing and accepting. For that reason, I've called it the energetic flow switch. You can either have that flow switch on or you can have it off. So judgment is turning that flow switch off. Allowing and accepting is turning the flow switch on. If you keep up a practice of allowing and accepting, your average vibration will keep going up. Now, within that upward direction, there are little dips and ups and downs because that's how the scale works. That's how energy works. But your energy overall will be much smoother, and your average vibration will continue to go up if you keep up a consistent practice of applying the state of allowing and accepting, and you allow it to every vibration, every emotion that you feel. By the way, entering a state of allowing and accepting and catalyzing transformation is much simpler, much easier than you might think. Actually, it's the very heart and soul of what we're all about at the Emotional Center. And in fact, there's a free mini course offered on our website that'll get you started, and the link is also in the description below. It'll just help you start to form a habit of allowing and accepting. Now back to the scale. At the very bottom of the low vibrations, I characterize those low frequencies as survival mechanisms. And so these are the feelings that have been sort of installed or hardwired in for physical survival. And fear, you can really understand the example of fear as a survival mechanism. They're very, very low vibrations, low feelings, and they're dense and they're heavy, and they're designed to get your attention. They feel bad enough. We want to get that energy flowing. When we get stuck in those very low, heavy feelings, we really begin to suffer. Now, at the opposite end, right at the top of the scale, are the highest, finest vibrations. And some people characterize these as spiritual vibrations because you start to feel connected to your world and connected to other people in a way that others describe as spiritual. Oneness, harmony, bliss, ecstasy, these are vibrations that reside at the very, very top. There's nothing better than when you've learned how to manage your vibrations to the point where your average vibration floats in the upper half of the scale, even with the daily ups and downs of life. And that is a natural result of learning how to flow your emotions using allowing and accepting. When this becomes your experience, you'll clearly hear your inner guidance and you'll follow your intuition. It's an amazing development, and we'll expand more on that subject in the next video.